All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking your time out of your schedule today and joining us. Very excited to bring you for hashtag BKOT episode number 23. We'll be discussing offshoring versus nearshoring and a lot of details in regards to that. And I have a special guest with me, Mr. Martin Mole, who is the founder of Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising. And so we're going to jump right into this. Again, very excited to have you here today, coming from Portland, Oregon, the opposite side of the country. As you all know, I'm here in New York City. Martin, thank you so much for joining. Tell us everything about yourself.
Thanks, Chris. Great to join everyone. And so Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising is a fully distributed bookkeeping, virtual controller, virtual CFO. We're about a year old, a little more than a year old. We've grown to 17 advisors. We have 5 more coming. When I say advisors, controllers, CFOs, and bookkeepers. We have 5 more joining us in January. So it's been a crazy year for us, but really exciting. And we have if you look on our website, it's front and center that we use an offshore team, and so we're just huge believers in it. Yeah.
And didn't you come from a background with KPMG, right?
I do. So I started in the Big Four, and then actually went to a regional firm. It was AKT at the time, and then Aldrich, and I stayed there. I was a healthcare partner, and then became their CEO and managing partner for the last 3 or 4 years, and then departed last year to take on this adventure. Because honestly, we're a little bit of a disruptive model. So it's doing this kind of independent of a CPA firm was a choice that we had made. And Aldrich, so we had a offshore team in India. Gosh, it's going on 15 years now. So
wow.
Founded that, and then had other firms join from around the world. So we've been, it's core to the way I practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've done a few dozen of these, and you're a very special guest today because in regards to speaking directly about offshoring and the benefits, and with your 15 years, I mean, the concept's been going on for about 25 years. And so you've seen it kind of evolve and the benefits for it. And so, I mean, there's a huge power behind this engine of offshoring. And so tell me about over the last 15 years, what do you see that's different now than when you first started engaging the team out there?
Great question, Chris. Adoption and adaptation from the client perspective, I'd say, is first and foremost. Whereas, the standard response is you're sending jobs offshore, and there's this sense that my response 15 years ago, but certainly even more now, is, do you know how hard it is to find a qualified accountant? And also, do you know what would you like that accountant to be doing? Would you like that accountant to be doing, the kind of putting the numbers on the form, or would you like them really leaning into your business and helping make a difference? And 15 years ago, generationally, you still had a lot of pushback. I think there's drastically less pushback. So that's one of the big changes. And the other one is just an acceptance, I guess, that the benefit of a small world, right? The side benefits of having an offshore team or an international team are far more than just sending work away. I mean, it helped our staff, and I see it now with Breakaway too, to understand that the similarities in the world there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. So if you're talking to an accounting team, whether it's in Mexico or in India or in Bangalore or on Kuala Lumpur, wherever it is, you recognize that God love them, accountants are accountants no matter what. And so it's really helped from a connectivity and helped our staff be more worldly in their view, which of course only translates to benefits to the client.
Yes, exactly. Clients bottom line is they want a good product, a fair price, fair value. And it's harder to do that in America per se, simply because especially with the small to mid-sized market that are trying to scale and grow, initially they can't afford somebody at maybe $30, $40 an hour, and they don't know what other options to do except to work, instead of 60 hours a week, work 80 hours a week. And it's just not fair. And the idea of setting jobs off, it doesn't make sense, because it's never just been an American economy. It's always been a world economy, and a lot of people don't realize the power of that. And so, spot on what you said, and the hesitations that have changed over the years. Now, when you're working with the offshore associates, because you have a remote team in the States as well, right?
We have a remote team in the States, and then we have one right now in Coimbatore, India, which is in the south of India. So
now you don't have to be fully virtual as a firm, but partially virtual with the pandemic has opened up the eyes that it can be done. And so, do you treat the team any differently that's not onshore, or everyone's treated the same?
That's a great question, and that was the business in Coimbatore is called our team in Coimbatore. Whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary, we want to celebrate the team, and that's always been. And it's interesting when you talk about during the pandemic, the traction that we get. One of the things, again, lessons learned, and we're working on the same thing with our Breakaway team, is the sooner I can get someone to actually go to and meet the offshore team, the better responsiveness, which I know with Integrity may not be possible in every instance, but actually the more you can humanize the service, right? So it's the worst thing in the world you want is to be like, oh yeah, I'm sending it into this black box and I just want a product out, right? Because you're not going to get, it's like, actually, no, I'm sending it to, 𝐂𝐥𝐢𝐞𝐧𝐭, I'm sending it to Jay, and I'm going to talk to them. And yes, they're going to make mistakes because they're human, right? But just like any staff that's down the hall, then you teach them, you tell them, and you improve the process. And within a year, that relationship has just become enormously valuable.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And so you're absolutely right. You treat everyone the same, right? If it's a birthday in Coimbatore, if it's a birthday in Columbus, Ohio, I mean, it's the same. And I see that a lot too when working with clients, to where it's almost of a whisper where they're asking, should I tell my local team that I'm doing this? Like it's something bad. And I laugh. I say, no, involve them. Have them part of this. Who are they going to be reporting to? Have them part of the interview process. Have them be there. It's a collaborative effort, And the whole idea in what we do is to complement the onshore team. What are the headaches that you guys are doing that you can't find the resources today that where we can help you, right? And so that's the idea. Speak with the local team, engage them, have them part of the process. And so, and it can be hard, out of sight, out of mind. Technology is there and in place. It could be a little bit of intimidated for newer clients, but once you embrace it and understand it, adopt it, it makes things a lot easier.
Yes.
But now we have the idea of nearshoring. I heard of outsourcing and offshoring and onshoring, right? So it all gets intermingled. But there's some key differences, right? Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, so it's interesting, nearshoring, term of art, and whether that means that you're using a shared services organization in a lower cost part of the U.S. or you're doing it within the continent. We're moving toward, because we talked about we're doing both, right? We're offshoring, we're nearshoring. We're hoping to eliminate both of those terms in our lexicon eventually, because again, if we say we're a worldwide company, right? And
yeah,
and what we will do internally is we will make the decision of where the best, most cost-effective services can be provided. And it's a healthcare phrase that I stole from one of my partners years ago. But in healthcare, the challenge is you practice to the top of your license, right? And no one, in fact, if you do go visit your doctor and he or she is doing a blood draw, you really should be questioning the value you're getting from your doctor, because now they know how to do a draw. In fact, they probably, they're as good as the lab tech or the phlebotomist that's doing the blood draw. But you want your doctor to be doing the diagnosis, right? And so the same thing, that's whether it's the distributed model, is whether it's nearshore, whether it's offshore, whether it's in Guadalajara, Mexico, or in Coimbatore, India, or Columbus, Ohio, you want the best person doing the work at the most efficient price.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation earlier today. I am an unabashed capitalist, right? And I do believe that capital markets will then, it's not that we're sending jobs away, it's that we're creating more opportunities by doing so.
Well said, Martin. Well said. Yeah, we're actually in, as we're heading upon the close of this year, we do an annual client survey, and a key metric that we're trying to figure out is the increase in onshore hiring, right, and for these firms. And so far, we're finding it anywhere from 10 to 15%, but we're trying to finalize everything. But refreshing to see that. Yeah. It's really nice to see that. And that's what it's all about, right? And you're spot on when you said, it doesn't matter where the office is. It's what associate can do the best. It doesn't matter where are they located. It's which one knows this task at hand and could do it the most cost-effective way. So yeah, I love hearing that. And I know that the outsourcing model, right? You have nearshore, onshore, offshoring, but the outsourcing model with a team approach, we always get intermingled with that. Have you done some outsourcing, and what are your thoughts in that type of model?
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris. I think that one of the things that I would tell anybody using an offshore or distributed share is what it really puts a highlight on is your own processes, right? And the best performing firms who use a team, and there's been, I'm sure you know far better than I, there's been some colossal failures by big, Fortune 500 companies who say, oh yeah, we're just going to take our entire banking and we're going to send it to Bangalore, and then they fail miserably. And it's not Bangalore's fault, right? It's that they didn't have the processes, and chances are they had processes that worked because you could walk down the hall and you could fix it by talking one-on-one, which is fine. But again, from moving, to providing best-of-class services to your clients, to your customers, it probably means that you're actually not doing that because you don't have the processes in place. So that using the offshore team, to me, it's a spotlight on your own internal operations. And that's true in a person firm or 10 million person firm. I don't think there's any difference. It's do you have the processes that allow you to make the decisions? And then more importantly, then going back to practice to the top of your license, then giving the people the freedom to actually look to where they can add value. So that's the key, is it's not that you're freeing up time so that you can, well, ideally, so you can go play golf or you can ride your bike. But it's also that you can then provide and help your clients succeed even more, because you're sending, and especially one of the benefits of the team in India is, we always say, it's like, yep, you can send it off to them at 5 o'clock, when you go home at night, or now in a work from home when you walk out of your office. And then when you show up at 8 the next morning, you've got a finished product. That's pretty impressive from a client service perspective.
Yes. I remember when the question I always get asked is, they work 9 to 5, right? And it's like, well, it's India's 10.5 hours ahead of me, 13.5 hours ahead of you. So there's no 9 to 5. And in the accounting world, there's not really a 9 to 5 anyways. It's all day, every day. So leveraging that, you're leveraging that time zone difference at first, and I get it too. I put myself in the client shoes and reverse. If someone told me that like 3 a.m., I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. What am I going to do? Well, how are they going to do this? But yeah, in the beginning, it's like, what? But once you understand it and once you just kind of tweak your processes and leverage that, holy cow, now you're sleeping and work's getting done, right? Whether it's data entry work or heck, you could hire senior levels, right? And they're doing review. You get up and you're just signing off work or reviewing it. And that's how you start your day with completed projects. Yep. That is another incredible empowerment of offshoring. I mean, it's now more beneficial than anything. Now back to the outsourcing model. Yeah. So it's when you have a team approach doing it, you know, it's hard for your day-to-day work, but outsourcing you can do. If you have a dedicated team and working with them, there's a lot of benefits with that. But when working with your offshore team, do you have like scheduled meetings with them every single day, weekly, or I mean, how have you structured it in leveraging the time zone as well?
Great question. And at Breakaway, one of our core values is, and it's the buzzword of the day, but it's asynchronous communication, right? So because again, we value our own team's ability to pick up their kid from a soccer match or to, you know, go out for a bike ride, which is what I love to do. So even within our own team, I mean, we do have meetings and we will include our India team, but we're much more, you know, our preference is to be able to do like a Loom video. It's like, hey, you know, here's the update. We do our corporate updates to our team as a Loom video. We don't require a call, and then we'll have a little email summary. So again, that communication format just works naturally with India, or you know, with any team. And what's interesting, so even so, as I said, we're up to, you know, roughly 20 advisors. So we have one advisor who lives in Rio de Janeiro, represents U.S. companies, but lives in Rio. And we have one advisor who lives half-time in Spain, and the other time half-time in Salt Lake. So even with our own quote unquote stateside advisors, they're not necessarily stateside. They're distributed themselves. And the better you can do that, the better for our team. It's like, well, yeah, I can represent clients and go live in India if I want. I can, and it's, again, you start to train yourself that geography is a state of mind, I guess. You know, and you can be anywhere, and that's just a really powerful way of doing business.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Now, let's talk a little bit about you know, the stigma and the bad reputation, and not just about sending the jobs, but U.S. companies and clients and your everyday citizens, right? They think it's unfair because it takes advantage of artificially low foreign wages, encourages different exchange rates, managed exchange rates, and then they think it promotes, you know, the unsubstantiated labor conditions. So with all this, you know, the reputation, how have you overcome that with your team and your, and then talk a little bit about the clients?
That's a really powerful question. And I wish I was competent to answer it from an from an economist point of view, other than knowing that the last thing in the world you want to do is pay above market wages for the geography that you're in. But also knowing, and we tell this to our clients, we pay top of market wages, not above market, but top of market wages. And that works, right? I mean, and so and with our India team, and it's interesting. So as I said, you know, so we've been doing this for 15 years. Some of our team have been around for 15 years, and we've seen them, you know, have babies, and now the babies are off in high school, and we know that we're providing solid wages with opportunities for advancement, and that, again, like I said, that works. So we address it head on. We're also, in the geographies we're in, we're very active in community social responsibility. So we will, you know, provide opportunities for those who want, if they visit India, if they want to visit an orphanage and support an orphanage, we'll absolutely let that. And again, that's the message is, you know, we've got one world and it's a small world, and the more you can embrace that, the richer, honestly, and I've said this before, I'm a better person for having had an offshore team. For me, it's become, it's a life-changing, which I know is, again, maybe a little, it's not hyperbole. It really has changed who I am by seeing how small the world is.
Yes. And I get the same question too. Like they're like $9 an hour.
Yeah.
What's going on here, right? The first thing I say is this. I say it's like hiring in your market. I like to make a comparison of anywhere between, let's say, $17 to $22 of $9. And then it's like, as far as qualifications and experience. So I start there. It's like, okay, now we're comparing apples to apples with experience and qualification. Then I say a next step is I have personal experience. I have a personal story. I live there. I'm forever grateful for the CEO who was my host for 2 months out there, and it was very important for me to live out there and see this. And holy cow! And in 60 days, I've lived in New York City since 2012, and in 60 days, I saved more money during that time than I have in 8 years living in New York City. I mean, but what people don't understand, it's so cheap. And so it's just not, there's nothing, the stigma and the reputation going on whatsoever. It's just simply because it's so cheap to live out there. I mean, I've done eating all day long in New York City. If I was to eat out, $50 guaranteed, right. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. In India, under $10 for a whole day. If that may be pushing it too far. It's just the cost of living is completely different, but they still are knowledgeable, they're dedicated, they're competent, they're skilled, they're friendly, they are more heartfelt, warming, the culture is different. And once you embrace that and see it, and I'm so thankful to have this experience to share, yeah, it then makes you like, okay. And I love sharing it with the clients, is the experience like, no, don't worry. I saw it firsthand. They're having their time in their lives out there.
Absolutely.
And so that leads me to now, all right, so we talked about the power of it, the differences, but now we have the client, right? So, and so how do you inform the client and that you're offshoring, and how have you seen the acceptance of it change? Has it always been an issue? Has it gotten better? It's still an issue?
Great question. So we do, as I shared on, if you go to the Breakaway website, we have, it's just part of our core values. It's who we are. And if you say, look, I don't want to send a team, I don't want my work going out of the country. We don't have any problem with that, but we also aren't going to hide the fact that and for all the reasons you and I have talked about in the past. And again, we are, and I'm sure you guys do the same. I mean, we do the security checks and the background checks, and we have all, but it's the presumption that, well, but the person down the hall could have just as, it's a integrity is a worldwide attribute. And
yeah.
And sadly, as is dishonesty, or as is so it doesn't really, the fact that you go offshore, but we're very direct. We'll and including, look, you want to pick up the phone and like you said, 7 in the morning, it's 7 at night. If you want to chat with the people and get to know them, absolutely. We're very open with our model.
I love it. Yeah. Don't hide anything. And if people are uncomfortable with it, we're not going to do business. But if you want this fair value, you want this good product, you want this price, this is what we do. This is how we've been doing it. Yep. And then do you have a lot of your associates interacting with your clients too? Because I get asked that quite a bit.
Great question. We if they want, our model tends to be that our advisors, whether it's a bookkeeper, whether it's a controller or CFO, they're sitting down with dashboards with their clients saying, okay, let's talk about actionable advice. So if you really want to get in your books and ask, well, how come, supplies versus maintenance, why is this going on here? Absolutely. You have the ability to talk to the team, but really, in a way, we're trying to train our clients as well to say, well, let's really figure out what truly matters in your financial statements and how you can grow your business and what kind of actionable advice you can get out of it. So that's, again, that because it's interesting on the bookkeeping side, the reason that it's hard to find bookkeepers, which it really is in the States, the reason it's hard to find really good bookkeepers is because really good bookkeepers turn into really good controllers and CFOs, because they're like, oh wait, well, if you do this, and next thing you know, they've elevated out, and then you need to continually replace them. So that's why we'll send a lot of the bookkeeping work offshore. So then again, the advice we give our clients is the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, our top 3 services are tax, bookkeeping, and audit. Yeah. So it's spot on with that. But again, the working with the clients too. I mean, it seems like it's a big hurdle, but bottom line is full transparency on both the company side, your side, our side, the clients that we're working with, and then, you know, on my side, their clients too. And I think over time, the impression, the stigma, but I mean, it's going to be a while. It's unfortunate how people are against it, because there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I remember when I started with this company almost 4 years ago, and that was my first thing. I was like, India, $9? I'm like, what am I getting myself into? And my life's been forever changed. And I'm just so excited in helping clients on a day-to-day basis grow, scale, with associates and with clients all over the world. And this is the power that it gives. You don't have to just work or hire in your own city and area. It gives everyone the opportunity to expand and grow. But this is the whole reason of us, you know, talking about this. And I appreciate you coming on today with some very relevant and good conversation. Now, any final thoughts or any last thoughts before we wrap this up today, Martin?
No, as you can tell, you got 2 people who love what we're talking about here. I think it's just really powerful, and I love what you guys are doing. When you and I first chatted, that's why I think the more you talk about this, the more you talk about the benefits, the better off. And again, I don't think it's an understatement to say the better off the world is.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think the accounting community has been kind of slow to move to that remote aspect, virtual aspect. Many companies remote work's been going on for 30 years, but some have never opened up offices. I mean, that's why WeWork was born in these mobile offices that were put in place prior to the pandemic. And then, you know, on come this, and it made everyone realize, wait a second, I can be virtual, I can do this. And then now I don't have to be just here, I can go anywhere. And so I hope we continue with this push through the not just American economy, but a global economy, and helping everyone out, and scaling and growing on all different levels. So awesome. Thank you so much again, Martin, for taking time out of your schedule and joining us. And hope to have you on again soon. Everyone out there today, thank you for taking time out and meeting with us. Again, we're going to close out #BKOT and episode number 23, and we will be back soon with more content for you guys. All right, everybody have a good weekend and take care. Martin, thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.